back to my channel. This week I'm bringing you another Cook with G. But before we get started, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up so that way we can keep on growing. Now today we are cooking from Lidia's a Celebrate Like an Italian 220 foolproof recipes that make every meal a party. Now I picked this up at my local library and I honestly grabbed it because it's Lidia. I grew up loving her PBS show. My whole family really likes her cooking, so I just kind of knew to trust in Lidia and that whatever she had in here was probably going to be good. And when I started flipping through, I found a bunch of recipes I loved. Now I'm not hosting a party. Well, I guess I am. A party for one. So let's cook. All right, so our first recipe today is a baked goat cheese fava and artichoke bean dip. Now I am a big fan of an artichoke dip. So when I saw this photo and this title, I was like, sign me up. We are diving in. However, I shopped for all my ingredients, I went to the store, did all my things, and the last thing that I'm looking for is fava beans. Now, it has come to my attention, I have no idea where to get fava beans, and I'm not even sure if I've had them before. I just assumed that I had and that I had always seen them and they'd always been at the store. So according to the internet, lima beans are a good substitute. So the rule of cooking with G is if I sub an ingredient and it doesn't turn out, it is my fault. So that's what we're gonna roll with, but I'm fairly confident. I will say, I think fava beans aren't green, but I'll put a photo on the screen and any facts about where to get them or anything like that to hopefully educate you on how I came to this conclusion. So yeah, wish me luck as we dive into our artichoke dip. All right, so our first task is to preheat our oven to 375 degrees. So let's do that now. We have the zest and juice of 1 lemon going in. And then we've got some kosher salt. Okay, goat cheese. So she calls for 10 ounces and I found 2 5-ounce blocks. So that's what we went with. Okay, and an entire block cream cheese. Now, let's get this processed. All right. Oh, that looks beautiful. So we're gonna add in the fava beans, lima beans, scallions, and our artichokes. Okay. So now it says that we're just gonna pulse to get everything incorporated and that we don't really want to break it down. We want to keep it chunky. Okay, so now we're gonna add it to our baking dish. And we're just going to spoon or scrape in our mixture. I am hopeful for my lima beans that they are going to complement it well. Cause if it was a lima bean or a fava bean dip, a kind of similar to just a pureed bean dip, then I'd be maybe a little bit more skeptical. But I have hope. And I also think it helps that I don't think if you gave me a lima bean and fava bean, I'd be able to tell the difference. I'd probably make an educated guess, but I would say that's about it. Okay, so now that we have our dip all spread out, we can go and add our Grana Padano cheese and our panko breadcrumbs. Does it say which one goes first? Just sprinkle with the panko and the grated cheese. We'll do the panko first. I don't think it matters. Oh, and there's our oven. So this is our last step. Let's get going. Okay. Okay, so let's take this over and put it in our oven and we will check back at 25 to 30 minutes. So, okay, let's try it. You hear the sizzling? I'm very excited. All right, so I just scooped a little onto a plate and I have some bread. I think, obviously it's a dip, so you would normally just dip in, but I figure make a little bite. Hopefully it's not too hot. That's really good. I don't think that the lima beans ruined anything. In fact, I think you could have used a navy bean or a white bean because I think honestly it just adds a creamy element to it. I really like this. I mean, obviously what's there not to like? It's a bunch of cheese in a baked dip with artichokes and who doesn't love artichokes? I'm sure there are people out there, but I love artichokes. And if you wanted to serve a dip at a party, I think this would be a really good option, which obviously is the object of the book. It is recipes that are intended to entertain, and I would say so far for our party of one tonight, we have had a successful first recipe. So let's move on to our next. All right, our next recipe is polenta with honey and berries. Now, I love polenta. I grew up on having it a lot. My mom would always buy, when I'm using this recipe, this log of polenta. She always got it from Trader Joe's because I think that was the only place she could ever find it, which is where I bought this one. But when I was at Whole Foods recently, I also saw that they sell it solidified like this too. If you don't know what polenta is, it is cornmeal. So it's kind of similar to grits. Honestly, it might even be potentially just the same thing, but when they sell it like this, it's just been cooked, I'm assuming with just water. Yeah, basically just water, and then it solidifies at, I think, room temperature once it's like cooked in. And so they sell it like this, so you don't actually have to like go through the process of actually cooking the polenta and then cooling it. So we're gonna use this as a little hack in our recipe today for polenta with honey and berries. So let's get to it. So first we are gonna prep our berries. So this is a cup of raspberries, a cup of blueberries, and a cup of strawberries. She didn't say to slice the strawberries. Oh, it does say halved or quartered. The photo makes them look whole. Oh, nuts. Okay, so now we're gonna take our berries and we're gonna add in our honey and rum. So we've got honey in here. This is just 2 tablespoons. My preference, if I had to pick a liquid natural sweetener, it would always be maple syrup, but I'm going with honey because that's what she said to use. So now let's add in our 2 tablespoons of a dark rum, tossing once or twice here or there as we start to prepare our polenta. Okay, so polenta. So here is my log of polenta, and it says we need 12 slices. So now because we're gonna 12 slices, we're making these individual plates. I am just gonna cut enough for about 1 serving because we actually aren't cooking the fruit. We're just gonna kind of let that marinate. Since it's a party of one, I'm gonna just cook off enough for the 1 serving, and then if I am to make it again, I can always cook more of the polenta. But okay, so if it's about 6 for dessert or 3 for breakfast, I'm gonna do 2 pretty good slices then. I see that she did more in her photo, but these seem like 2 pretty good slices. And now we're going to take our polenta and our butter over to the stove. All right, so we're gonna heat up our pan. We're gonna melt 2 tablespoons of butter. What she does say to do that I won't have to do is that you can preheat your oven to 200 degrees, and then as you're cooking the polenta, you have to do it in batches. So she says just to put them on a baking sheet as you finish them and keep them in the oven to keep warm, which is a smart idea. But I don't really need to do that because I'm only gonna make enough for 1 serving. But if you are making this for a party or to host, that's a good thing to note. I wouldn't have thought, I mean, maybe I would have thought of that, but it's smart that if you don't want to crowd your pan and accidentally ruin your recipe, that you can just use your oven for what it's worth. Keeping things warm. Or cooking, but keeping things warm. Okay, so now we're gonna pop it in to fry. Oh, it sounded a little bit more warm than it was. Okay, I think it'll be fine. And then you should be able to flip it once when it gets a little golden. That one looks good. Kind of let it keep cooking, frying off in the butter. And we're just gonna let that cook down. Which also, comment down below if you've had polenta before, or if this was the first time you ever even heard the word polenta. So aside from having it solidified like this, like I said, you can kind of have it as like a grits almost. Did I do a recipe on this channel with polenta? I don't know if I have, but I remember making it recently or in the in the past year or so. And I just used the the granulated cornmeal, and I cooked it with chicken broth and I think it was some pecorino too or something. It was so delicious and so indulgent. It was amazing. But it's a porridge basically, and if you let porridge sit, if you ever had oatmeal, you know how it can become like solidified. That's kind of what this is monopolizing on, just letting it solidify. And then if you slice that up, you can fry it into polenta cakes. So sometimes like more modern like fusion restaurants like to make things called like polenta fries. I've seen that a lot, where they take this concept and then they'll bread them and deep fry them. And they're pretty good. They're pretty good, but they're not like traditionally how, I mean, this isn't really traditional, but I guess frying polenta is. But traditionally it's like, you know, made as a porridge, or I guess polenta cakes would have been in some traditional recipes as well. But yeah, let me know if you have polenta, or if this is the first time you ever even heard the word. Okay, I think that they are appropriately fried off, but I am gonna go ahead and start layering our plate. So I'm gonna put one of the polenta cakes down. You can add in a nice little dollop of some of the fruit, and then some powdered sugar. Let's see. Let's try it. Okay, let's try it. I'm very excited. They look like little mini pancakes. I like it. I think if I was to make any substitutions, it would just probably be for maple syrup. I don't really mind the alcohol that much. It doesn't come through too strong for me, but I do get the smell of honey because we didn't really cook it down. We just kind of mixed it in. So that's a personal preference. However, I think the taste is really good. It's just unfortunate that my nose is like, that's honey, you don't like honey, why don't you remember that? So I think if you're gonna make this and you're a honey lover, this is totally for you. But if you're like me and honey is not necessarily your favorite ingredient, maybe sub it out for maple syrup. However, the polenta, 10 out of 10. I think polenta with fruit as like a dessert, oh my gosh, awesome. Would totally do this again. And I just feel like though, cooking it in butter and just letting it get crisp a little bit is such a game changer. It's one of those foods for me that can stand well on its own. I just love it. And so kind of just frying it down and giving it like its moment to just be covered in fruit and powdered sugar and a little bit of mint is just incredible. If you like these recipes, I'll have the cookbook linked down below in my Amazon storefront, and I'll also have a direct link to it if you're interested in purchasing it. And if you purchase anything from my Amazon storefront or the cookbook through my link, I will get a small commission, so that's one way to support my channel. But no pressure, because just watching this video until now is as much support as I could ever ask for, and I really appreciate you being here. So thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up so that way we can keep on growing. And I will be sure to catch you next time. Bye!